and welcome to sunny Sebring for the 120 minutes of Sebring, the official iRacing race. My name is Rob Sutherland. I'm joined by Marius. Welcome, Marius.
Yeah, hello guys, and good afternoon, good noon, or good evening, depending on where you are on our planet.
Yep, and this is going to be a cracking race. They call it 120 minutes because it literally is 120 minutes. They can't do the 12 hours, so they try to get it as close as they can. So we're going to have a 2-hour race here. You'll be watching the three of our classes today, which are the HPDs of the LMP2 class, the GT1s, which are the Corvettes, and the GT2s, which are the Ford GTs. We're going to be watching 20 HPDs, 10 Corvettes, and 9 Ford GTs. So this should be good for 2 hours. It's going to be some entertaining racing, Marius.
Absolutely, and we've got a packed grid of 39 cars here, and the track isn't so long, only about 6 kilometers, 5.95, 17 turns though. A very challenging track, not such a clean road surface, much bumps, and really challenging to not hit any walls during 2 hours of racing. So it's going to be a definitely interesting race, and with so many cars on the track, it's just going to be full of action all the time.
Very much so. It's about a day after the real Sebring 12 hours has taken part as well. We saw a lot of fun into corner number 1, where it's obviously very bumpy from the Le Mans corner 16 into Sunset Bend, where the old asphalt sort of kicks in, the old concrete kicks in, all the way up to the start-finish straight. So we're going to see some really great car control through those corners, and then we get to the real sort of the small twisty infield bits, 2, 3, 4 and 5, those kind of corners, and it's a couple of straights we've got to do a bit of point and squirting, and we're going to see some excellent racing. I think we're going to see a lot of cars run wide. Even though we are looking at the best of the best in iRacing racing today, we're going to see a lot of entertaining stuff going through the pack.
And if you haven't noticed yet, Rob, you said it, the best of the best means, of course, the top split here, 39 of the best races which qualified for this event. And we've got 20 HPDs, and the lap time difference in qualifying time is just over 1 second. Frederick Follestad took the pole with 1:45.1, and then it's really packed, and even if you could only gain half a tenth, that probably gains you 2 places. And in the Corvette, Kaika Schube 1:53.8 on the pole, just in front of Timo Worle. And in the Ford GTs is Kimmo Suominen, right in front of our broadcast mate Joni Backman in 2nd position. But we'll definitely get you through that a bit closer when we are going to start with the pace lap, which will start in about 3 minutes here. We're still in warm-up, so don't worry. We've got the cameras on the track, and you can see some guys driving at the moment outside of turn 1, and we're definitely going to bring you the action as soon as the pace lap starts.
Yeah, and it'll be a is it a 3 or 4 minute pace lap as well, so there'll be enough time for us to talk you through what's going on, who's where, and up to when the green flag drops and the racing is away.
Just about half a day. Just about half a day since the real race on Sebring, the real 12 hours have finished. And that one has been really interesting. We've seen Audi win with 2 cars in front in the LMP category, and BMW to win the GT category. So it's going to be a similar race here, although we've only got LMP2 cars, but a tiny bit less participants, about 20, but the track is packed, and with 40 cars on the track, like I said before, it's going to be just full of action all the time.
Yeah, and you'll see a lot of the acceleration deficits between the twisty bits, where of course the aerodynamic downforce of the LMP2s mean that they can really sort of cut through these guys, and these GT1s and GT2s can have to look in their mirrors quite a lot, because there'll be a lot of action going on. Right, so Marius, I'm looking through the grid now, and of course I know some of these guys, some races I've seen them in before, and of course I've raced against them, but we're just looking down the GT2 field. We're going to see an excellent battle at the front there, because Timo and our very own Joni have really been sort of gunning after each other the last few days. So we've got some good guys in between. We've got the first sort of 3 or 4 that are 1:38, 1:58.3, 1:58.4, 1:58.5, and then Edward Prado on 1:58.5 as well. So we've got some quick guys at the top of that GT2 field.
Yeah, and most of these guys, you probably already know Kimmo Suominen, the current pole position holder for the Ford GTs from the TFR Super Cup. He's been pretty dominant in the past, and well, Joni Niergastege, also known for the TFR Super Cup, just really close to him. It's less than a tenth even between Joni and Kimmo, and the race is quite long, 2 hours. It's a bit longer than the TFR Super Cup, which is only 90 minutes. And we'll definitely look if Kimmo is able to defend his lead here. Joni, Nierg, Eduardo, definitely strong guys behind him, and it's going to be interesting if Kimmo is able to maintain his role as one of the best drivers in the Ford, aren't there?
Yeah, quite easily, and we're looking in the Corvette GTs as well, where we've got a very close battle between Kei Kashube and Timu Vale as well, who are both on 1:53.8. So these guys are quite close paced as well. And Johnny Hagner below with the 1:54.211, and Lef Vanchusen with a 1:54.272. I apologise for my pronunciation problems. Sometimes they are quite difficult to explain. We have. I believe we're going to be starting the grid up now, Marius.
It looks like it, and the first people are already joining the grid, and as soon as we take off and the Ford Mustang pace car takes them on the lap, or the first lap of the race, 6 kilometers, we're going to guide you through the entire grid, and we'll start with the HBDs, of course, of which we've got 20 on the track.
So it's going to be, and the big old problem we've been having in practice and qualification is the LMPs do like to trip over some of the slower GT cars. So hopefully we'll be able to see some considerate lapping. Let's put it that way.
It's definitely good to see iRacing has changed the warm-up time here. We've got 20 minutes of warm-up, plenty of time to get the car out for some laps, and of course also plenty of time for us to get the broadcast running just in time. And we're looking to just go green in a few bits, and the pace car will take the cars onto the pace lap here, as we've got almost all cars in the grid.
Pull away now. A lovely green colour there from, is that Emil, is it? That's got the nice little green HPD. So, Marius, turn number 1. Tell us how much fun this is going to be, because there's about 3 or 4 lines through this corner. You've got to tighten up for the exit, because you've got a bit of that little rumble strip at the exit. You've got to get into that quite a narrow section.
Yeah, especially at the start. I mean, you can't really take it easy. You've got quite a lot of cars behind you, and it's going to be so packed that you probably have to give it all to make it through safely. And, well, that's it. We should start with the grid. And like we said before, leading the field here onto the 2 hours of racing, Frederick Follestad with a 1:45.185 in pole position. Just over 1/10 in front of Emil Spindel, who we've seen yesterday in the second race of the DWC season on Zandvoort. Then it's Teemu Ivonen, also known for many of the viewers maybe from Live for Speed, and also quite an endurance guy here, so a 3rd position for him. Thiago Alfao in 4th with just about 3 seconds behind the lead then. And then it's getting really close. Alfao just about 100th in front of Norbert Sulzer in 5th. Marius Thomas another half a tenth behind. Paul Ilbring with a 0.57, just a tiny bit behind again. And Tepu Sabla, Björn Spindel 8 and 9. And then it's Arnaud Lacombe closing or finishing off the top 10.
Right, okay, let me take you through the Corvettes. We have Kei Kashube in 1st position, Timu Vale 2nd, Joni Hagner 3rd, Lef in 4th, Marcel Wiemers in 5th, and 6th is Brandon Davis, 7th is Gasper Terzjak, I think I'll get clarification how to say that name. Then we're followed by Tim Claessens and Guillermo Rato, and rounding off the GT1s is Tilibert Lacombe.
And starting with 4 GTs, we've been talking about the 2 Finnish guys in the lead. Kimmo Suominen versus Joni Backman, 1st and 2nd in the class, followed by Nick Verstegen in 3rd, already about a 10th behind these 2, so it's still going to be close, but it's not really predictable who's going to go and take the lead out of the first turn here. Eduardo Prado, 4th position, only half a tenth behind these guys too. Joao Pinho, then the first guy who's actually half a second behind, so it's going to be interesting to see, because that is half a second of a difference, could maybe be a decider for the top 4, and maybe they are able to break free. Victor Bubniak, 6th position in the class, 1:58.97 as well. Alexandre Gravouille in 7th, Gear Björk in 8th and Eric Vadorf closing the top split of 39 cars, and of course the last position in the 14th class. And that rounds it up as we're just on the backstretch and about to go green.
Right, now the interesting thing is, I think all the HPDs, or the start of the HPDs guys, are going to get around the first corner, all right? It's just whether the concertina effect really caused the problem for the Corvettes and Fords. We're just running around Sunset Bend now.
And it's going to be really interesting if these guys go for an early start, as the pace car is about to move in and Frederick Follestad takes his green-orange car, or dark green-orange car, into the lead. And it is an early start for him, and he maintains the lead.
About a couple of car lengths as they go into corner number 1. It's a nice wide entry in, flicks it in, and the first 4 are through safely.
Foul already heavy on the grass there, loses 1 position against I think it was Norb Sulzer, yeah? Thiago Afau now in 5th, and so far it looks quite clean.
No idea what's going on down the back of the grid, because there was a bit of dust kicked up earlier. It's kind of quite hard to see what goes on.
Timo Wohle in the Corvettes, just to mention, has lost 1 position against Joni Hagner, so Hagner with a good start here, able to gain 1 position.
Timo's still ahead of the Glacier racing car of Johnny Backman, with Nick Verstappen straight up behind him.
First time through the hairpin, everything looks quite nice. Just a bit of off track there, kicking up dust, but no car contact so far. That is a very clean start for the guys here. No incidents so far, and that's well done.
Well, let's not try and tempt fate, Marius, because we have been known to coin the phrase commentator's curse a few times.
I'm confident this time.
We see Frederick here just looking through the double left into the right hand corner, and now he's on back straight. Now he's just gone through Le Mans, or no, he's just going through. We've got a good lead already.
It looks like it.
Emil.
Emil is just in the slipstream distance. These cars got lots of downforce, especially for this track. Only got a top speed about 260 here. Corvettes might even reach the higher top speed. And it looks like the top 3 are able to break free a bit. Norbert Sulzer just able to follow, and then Thiago Afau with a bit of a bigger gap there.
But there's no real sort of dramas at the moment, so hopefully this can be a race where we can get some proper pace underway and get a bit of a stretching out, and then see how we're doing after sort of the first 20 minutes or so.
And just to remind you, we are of course watching the top split of the 120 minutes of Sebring here. So that means only the best drivers, only the ones with the best 20 in the HPD, 10 in the Corvette and 9 in the 4GT qualifying times. So this is really the best of the best. And at the moment it looks like they are proving themselves, as the first lap complete has been absolutely clean.
And it's the same back down in the Corvettes as well, although the back of the Corvettes there's a driver having a bit of a spin, a golf-coloured vet of, so look, Tim Klass as well, a bit of a spin just in front of Kimmo. Kimmo and Johnny are still 1 and 2 in 4 GTs, followed by Nick Verstappen.
It's really interesting to see, especially from Kimmo. He's still got the Corvettes inside, and maybe we should talk a bit about the time difference. Christian Koch in 20th qualifying position in the HPD. He's got a lap time of 1:46.3 down, and that is about 7 seconds, 7.4 seconds in front of Kaike Schuber, with the quickest Corvette out there. So there's definitely a big time difference between the LMP2 cars and the GT cars. But in the GT class, between the slowest Corvette and Kimmo Suominen, who got the pole for the 4 GTs, it's only 3 seconds. And especially in the difference of speed on the straights, so the high speed corners probably, and topping out in 6th gear, especially on the backstretch, we've not got that much difference.
It looks remarkably clean through the field at the minute. We see too many real position changes, apart from the dropping down the order from him. Although he still managed to get himself back ahead of the 4 GTs as well. We can see him further down actually, just coming through Le Mans now and coming around Sunset Bend. He's going to have a good few laps trying to get himself back around past the 4 GTs again. And he has lost a lot of pace off the back of the Corvette.
It looks like they just take as much clean laps as they can, as in about maybe about 15 minutes, so 7-8 laps, we've got the first overtaking and lapping to do. So when the HPDs are in your mirror, it's over with the fast lap times, and if you want to gain time, break free, just to get a bit of gap to your enemies, it's probably the right time to do now.
Hey, we're viewing the number 3 car of Teppo Cervella now, who's this is the infield pack of the 20 HPDs we have running today. Some jostling for position. I believe there's been some position changes as well.
Yeah, apparently Teppo dropped from 8th to 10th, and there's a bit of news in the Corvettes as well. Kai Kashuba and Teemu Vuorle definitely look like the winning contenders here. Kai and Teemu already broke free by about 3 seconds to Joni Hagner, and that is amazing. I mean, 1:55.0 for both of them, and Joni's got a 1:56.8, and that is 1.8 seconds per lap. It really looks like these guys are absolutely flying.
Yeah, which is always good at the start of the race. You've got to get a keen pace down, get the pace, get away from the guys behind you as well, because obviously it's a 2-hour race. Although you don't want to come unstuck quite soon. Yeah, it's good to get the pace under.
You say it, and it's going to be very interesting to see what the pit strategy will actually be like. The HPD probably has to pit 2 times, no matter what, as it's about 45 minutes to pit. And then we've got the Corvettes, where it might be enough to pit once, but then, yeah, if you want to pit twice, you can probably take a lower fuel load, and the tires are being consistently heated heavily under fuel load. And if you take a lower fuel load, it might be paying off in the end, as you're going for the quicker lap times. And again, it looks like Kai and Teemu are definitely putting the hammer down. Gap has been increasing to about 4 seconds to Joni Hagner in 3rd position there.
Still got Kay still got his mirrors full of the chase in Teemu, and saw a less dramatic sweep into the first corner. We've seen the HPDs really use all the circuit. The GT1s was less dramatic, with more of a tighter line through as well, and it's good for the pace that these guys are putting on, because they're not getting caught up with the fact that they are quite close to each other. They're just getting on and driving away with it. And at the same time, looking back to Teemu, he's not really putting himself down the inside to show that he's there as well. So it's not really putting too much pressure on Kay.
And what I wanted to say is it's going to be increasingly interesting to see how the gaps between the cars develops as soon as we've got the lapping going on. Frederick Follestad still in the lead, no changes there, now approaching the 5th lap of the race. 1.5 seconds to Emil Spindler, so that has been increasing, and Spindler has been strong on the 2nd position, as also he's got about 1.2 seconds to Teemu Ivonen in 3rd. And that is only 2 seconds, Rob, and we definitely have to say there's just one bad lap or one bad overtake at all, and you probably have to wait 1 turn to get the Corvette or a Ford GT, and there goes your gap.
Yeah, and even a loss of concentration as well. It can happen a lot on this circuit. We're looking at Kimmo now, and Tim Klessen's trying to get by. He's just going to use the straight and the speed advantage just to sort of toe up the inside of Kimmo, and then retake the line so he can sweep round Sunset Bend across the line for what will be the start of his 5th lap.
And we didn't see it on the stream, I think, but before that Tim had to manage to get around Nick and Joni in 2nd and 3rd in the Ford GTs. And, well, Joni's been close by just 1 second, and that might have cost him another second to Kimmo. Now across line, and the gap has been increased to 1.7 seconds, so 0.7 just by a clean overtake, we have to say, clean overtake by Tim Klessens and Joni Backman. So not with much hassle, no much trouble, so still about half a second plus lost just with 1 overtake.
And what we'll be looking to see now is whether Nick and Joni can get their hammers, get back on it and get up behind Kimmo again, because they don't want to let Kimmo disappear, because he's an incredibly fast driver. As we are now watching the leader, Frederick, who just come over the start finish straight to start his 6th lap.
gap been increasing and increasing. Another 3/10 this lap, 1:46.6, and he really looks like one of the very strong guys in this car. Emil Spindel just barely able to follow, 1.9 seconds of gap, and then Timo Ivonen already trying to defend Norbert Sulzer, third place battle there, and they are already down by 3.3 and 3.9 seconds. And in 5th position we've still got Thiago Alfao, and in 6th Marius Thomas, and they are already down by about 7 seconds.
Really, he's really got the pace going. As has Frederick, he's got quite a lot of space now to close down, and it'd be interesting to see what happens and how good these guys are with their discipline in amongst the traffic as well when they start catching the full GTs, because traffic is an absolutely massive thing at Sebring. Just looking back into Teamy now, he's got Norbert in his rearview mirrors as well. Teamy posted up 1:47.179 in his last lap, and Norbert was exactly the same, 1:47.169. So they're very close lap times he's got.
Still shows that well, they are looking to be really strong here, but at the moment no one is able to follow Frederick. Frederick with a 1:46.6 last lap. Emil in 2nd position with a 46.9, and then we've got Timo and Norbert with a 0.1, and then everything behind is at least doing 47s.
And Marius, we're looking now into Chris Dameron Jr., who is up the inside of Teppo in the HPDs. He's going to come into Sunset Bend, and they're going to have to hold on for life over these bumps.
Especially on the inside, I see the car heavily into the suspension, heavily coming and bumping around as he makes the pass, and Teppo is just not able to hold that on the outside, as even that is more bumpy than the inside.
And you see that dramatic sweep into the turn number 1, where you really got to take a bite of the early apex and just let it come out and then get all the speed into the infield section. We'll see if he's able to drive away from Teppo now, whether Teppo really doesn't want to lose that place for long. The battle for 10th position between Chris Dameron and Teppo.
It's good to see. I mean, these cars are almost as quick as Indy cars around here. Maybe not almost, but it's definitely going in the Formula direction. And it really looks good. These cars are absolutely on the limit, and the guys still maintain a clean race. And we've seen the overtake in the last turn. Stable driving by both of them and no contact, and so far we've got a really clean race.
It's absolutely clean. I thought we'd at least see a couple of major incidents in the first few laps, but it's been as clean as you can get, which is a real testament to these guys, who are some very fine drivers out there.
And speaking of fine drivers, we have to come back to one of the best of them in the 4 GTs, Kimmo Suominen, extending his lead to about 2 seconds to Joni Bäckman in 2nd. And Joni struggling heavily, and we see him really on the limit into the first turn, bumping and just sideways out of the first turn, absolutely maximizing the track. Nick Verstegen closing down, and he's looking to, yeah, maybe for an attack even. I mean, he's closed down so far that under braking he probably can even push Joni into a mistake. And that's what we said before. Eduardo Prado.
Sorry, Marius, we have contact at the back of the grid in Sunset Bend between Philip Wiebert and Kevin Weckermans. They were side by side coming out. I think Kevin made an error coming out of Le Mans, and that allows Philip to get alongside him, and they went round Sunset Bend side by side. The bumps, one of them got a little bit loose. They tapped, hit the wall, a couple of HPDs missed, and yeah, Philip stayed out, but Kevin, who spun unfortunately into the entrance of the pits, has taken a pit stop. So sorry about that, we may have seen that off camera.
And it looks like his front is severely damaged. His whole front engine, or not engine cover, but suspension cover, that is aerodynamical part, is off and now been replaced by the pit crew. And with about 15-16 minutes into the race, it's going to be really interesting to see if he's able to stretch his fuel and make it on just one more pit stop here.
And Marius, this race has come alive because Chris Dameron Jr. is under intense pressure from Bjorn Spindle and Teppo. It's a nice little three-way there. Chris is really having a look in his mirrors. I think he actually tried to pass, or he did successfully pass Bjorn, but now they're undergoing increasing pressure now as they flick through the double left before the tower corner.
And Chris is definitely on the charge here. He started 11th and he made the pass now for 9th. And, well, the train behind him, now it's Teppo with the chance maybe to get the 10th position. The train behind him is just extending. And
we can really see the HPDs really start to come to life now. And there's a couple of 4GTs ahead as well. So we're going to see a lot of... well, the race is now kicked into life, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we see the first lappings going on here. It's really hard, especially on this track. Many... not silent, but blind bends here, many parts where you can't really estimate where your enemy will go. Oof. And we see that just absolutely packed on the track.
We saw Chris Dameron Jr. call number 1 then just have to duck underneath that 4GT. He just got the car sideways but caught it very well. It's a very difficult corner to catch these things on in corner number 1 of Sebring International Raceway.
And that just shows it. I mean, Chris is definitely on the run here.
So this is what we're discussing earlier. One thing is having a fast time, one thing is being able to hold on around Sunset Bend and corner number 1, but you really do need your discipline in amongst the traffic.
And now we're talking about the gap in the class, and Emil Spindle looking to the left, looking to the right, and he's closed the gap to just about 2/10 here. Frederick Forrester had a bit of trouble during the overtakings, and also Timo Ivonen and Norbert Sulzer are just absolutely closing in, and Joni Beckman now keeping his head very, very tight there and just looking to get out of the way as possible. And he's been braking so early to just let these guys pass, and as soon as it looks like they're past the entire Ford GT grid here, at least the top of the LMPs are, it really looks like we've got a two-way fight on lead here. Emil Spindle versus Frederick Forrester, last turn now.
Side by side, just entering Sunset Bend. So that is 9 laps in. They are now past the Ford GT leaders for the first time. And I think there's Emil just taken the lead from Frederick as they sweep back in the corner at turn number 1.
It looks like Frederick stays in front of this one. It looked good out of last turn, but Frederick can maintain the lead. And behind them, Timo Ivon and Norbert Sulzer have been able to close in. And that's that. From then on, 4th to 5th, Thiago Afau in 5th, 4 seconds behind the lead, 3 seconds behind Norbert Sulzer. And if they maintain this pace, it looks like a 4-way fight for the lead.
Yeah, so Emma will be looking now. Emma will be looking to think to hopefully once they start to catch up the Corvettes, he'll be there going, right, see how much I can capitalise from any Ford GT driver that isn't really looking in their mirrors and maybe makes Frederick lift or take a really strange line and now allows Emil through. So we're going to see that in a few laps time as well, and that will be an excellent little spectacle to watch.
Talking about the Corvettes, Kai Kashuba and Timo Wolle, still blistering pace from them, and they're just blasting past and extending their gap to Joni Hagner in 3rd position to about 7 seconds, and that is amazing. They are just entering the 10th lap now, and that is almost a second per lap, 0.8 maybe, and they are definitely looking to decide the win of the 120 minutes of Sebring between each other, Kai versus Timo here in the Corvettes.
It's a fantastic set of pace these guys are running. Try and compare the fact that Timu, in his case, at a 156.320, Timu's a 155.962, but he may have had a little bit of traffic. And then you're looking all the way down to Joni Hagner's a 157.3, so there's a massive difference between these guys. In fact, Joni Hagner is actually defending just a little bit from Leif van der Session. I'm just going to use the first names from now on, Marius, I think. We're looking at the car number 20 of Eduardo Prado in his little 4GT, who's up behind the red 4GT of Nick Versad. This is the battle for a 3rd position, in fact, in the 4GTs.
And we're looking to approach the entire field, or the mid-pack of the Corvette field here, and we're going to go and see if we can go on board with Timo Ivonen, currently 3rd position HPD on the grid. Has been able to break free a bit from Norbert Sulzer, but it's just half a second, so with the next overtaking we'll see how that develops, and we're going to give you a little preview or a little view on onboard experience with Teemu Ivon now, onboard with number 10, the Western Wolves grey-blue car here, the grey-blue HPD, as we approach the first of, or the rear of the Corvette pack, Thibault Lacombe, and he's just looking to get out of the way now as they are approaching the backstretch here, and see how much they're being held up by this. He just can't get out of the way, and it's looking for Timo, and that's 3 wide. Oh, and Timo taps him. Nice contact, and Emil Spindle is off.
Commentator's curse there. These guys are going to have to be doing a little bit of limping now, see if they need the pits. But that was a dramatic bit of contact there. I think it was caused by that Ford GT just drifted wide to let them past, and that caused a massive concertina effect. I think that HPD was too busy following him to realise what he was doing. That left the gap open, and then the incident occurred just coming through the Le Mans corner.
It's 3 wide through that turn is definitely not a good idea, and Emil Spindle in the middle just been tubed from both sides now in the pits and looking to repair his damage. And we're going to see a replay of that. It just looks like the Corvette couldn't jump out of the way, and Timo made the pass, and that cost Emil the 2nd place and brought him in for an early pit stop.
And watching all of that from inside the cockpit, as we were lucky enough to do, it just shows you the amount of decision-making process, and the fact that you really have to make these decisions very, very quickly into what you're going to do. This shows you how fast it can change.
Just a split-second decision, and well, in the Corvette, Thibault Lacombe definitely experienced, and well, he was already on the outside, so you see the track is maybe offering a 2 wide space at that point, but 3 wide is definitely going to be a risky number, and luckily for Thibault and Teemu, no damage so far as we see, and I think we've got the first retirement here.
I see Emil Spindle has exited the pits. He appears to be driving pretty straight now, so we'll see what position that brings him out in, and we'll see if he can claw himself back, because he's certainly a very fast driver, and if he comes out in the middle of those HPDs, he should really be able to claw himself back up quite easily.
And there's been some issues for PJ Sturgis, I think, and Anthony Roselli. Not connected to each other, but Roselli apparently managed to spin just before the turn we've just seen, and we'll be looking to get you a replay from that. So also went to the pits and repaired his car, and now looks to get some clean laps done, but he's definitely far down the grid, 44 seconds behind the leaders. And we're going to see what happened to PJ there.
Just had an all, but Schultz is now in the pits. Joined by PJ Sturgis, who's also in the pits.
Well, it looks like PJ's hit to the wall there. It's been more severe than we thought. Rear wing gone, and the side of the car doesn't really look too healthy either.
Okay, well, he has just exited the pits. How he handles himself the next couple of laps, and I was expecting a good race from PJ.
And to just tell you a bit what happened there, as we can't give you a replay at the moment. Richie Stanaway versus PJ Sturgis versus Anthony Roselli, as Roselli goes sideways out of the 3rd turn, I think it is, just before Big Bend. He goes sideways, 90 degrees on the track. Sturgis brakes, Stanaway doesn't see the incident and doesn't brake, and pushes PJ into Anthony, and it was pretty much over for PJ there, so long pit stop for him, and Anthony just recovered his car to the pits, and Richie remained without damage, it looks like.
So we're now back live with Frederick Follerstad in the lead of about 28 minutes through Sebring 100. He's just got through the middle of the Corvettes, and he's got some good pace on, I believe. Who's just been held up a little bit by Johnny Hagner. He's just managed to get past him now, so there's a big old gap now between the first 2 drivers.
Emil Spindle, meanwhile, as we've seen him spinning and standing in the grass, then looking to a repair pit stop in 16th position. and that gives especially Thiago Alfao the third place now, and only 2 seconds behind Temo, and that maybe could suspect a bit of damage for Temo, as the gap has been increased to 3 seconds. Now a bit of an off track for him.
Temo basically just lost 2 seconds away from Frederick. Now viewing the 20 car of Eduardo Prado. Great. Oh, 21, sorry, we're doing the 21 car of Sebring.
And he was against Joni Hagner there in the hairpin, and there was absolutely no room for an overtake. So he had to back off and let Joni go, and he's now looking to get past here just into Cunningham. And that cost him severe time.
Oh yeah, we've now seen Joni cause a lot of delays now for the leading HPD drivers. Is Chris Dameron Jr. now gets round. He'll be trying to chase down Paul as well. We can see another of. In fact, he's just been held back up again of Arnaud Lacroix. So really quite difficult to get past Joni Hagner.
Well, Joni himself in third position still of the class, looking to fight against Yves van Genechten in fourth, and he can't afford too much of time lost during an overtake, so he's definitely looking to race his own race here. And speaking of the Corvette already, Kaike Schube and Timo Wohl is still blasting away from the field. 15 seconds to Joni Hagner already, and it definitely looks like they'll be deciding the lead.
And we are now with Nick Vestige, who is third on the podium with the 4GTs. Race down, he's very, very close to Joni Backman. Might be able to see.
Joni in second, and Kimmo Suominen already a few corners ahead, just about 7 seconds here gap. And Eduardo Prado is able to close in, especially as we've now seen Roderick Croyne blast past the 4GTs. And it looks like Prado maybe not has exactly the pace, but due to the overtakes is always able to just stay behind these guys and maybe get himself the third place from Nick Verstegen.
That's Nick. Is that your Radicals Online?
And I think it's time for a little overview of the grid. We haven't really seen too much action, but we've definitely seen some changes in the HPDs, and especially considering that Emil Spindel has now dropped into 13th position after his incident, and Frederick Follesat still leading the pack after his blistering qualifying time, so he didn't look back so far. Timo Ivonen still able to hold the second place, Thiago Alfao in third. And then it's a longer or a bigger gap to fourth position, Marius Thomas, Paul Ilbring and Chris Dameron Jr. And then it's really close. Arnaud Lecombe just trying to work his way past Paul Ilbring, and around place 5. It's definitely a four-way pack, four-way fight shaping up here.
So we're now come to the lead of the GT1 class, which has been passed by a couple of HPDs. Still, K is out ahead of Timu. And it's these guys are pretty much averaging about a second and a half, 2 seconds difference between the third place of Joni Hagner. So they're still a league apart.
And we see the standings in the stream, of course, of the HPDs, and closing the top 10 at the moment in 8th position, Philip Geis. We've seen him in the 2.4 as of Daytona. Looking for a quiet race here, not much trouble around him. 10 seconds to 7th position here, followed by Christian Koch though, 4 seconds in 9th. And in 10th position, just behind Koch, Nuno Moira, closing the top 10. And it looks like around Chris Demden we've got a good fight shaping up, and I think we're going to go and see if we got cameras around them. Paul Ilbrim, Arnaud Lecombe and Marius Thomas chasing down Chris Dameron Jr. for 5th position. And just to remember, Chris started in 11th, and due to the trouble around Emil and due to the trouble around Roselli, he's just been able to gain some positions, and he's now looking for a securing his 5th position.
I think Mr. Dameron Jr. might just be driving away with it now. I think he's done all the passing. He easily goes into Sunset Bend and out of Sunset Bend.
And talking about 5th position, I have to reverse that a bit, because that is old news, as Thomas drops 4th place and exchanged with Chris Dameron Jr. And that makes Chris, of course, being 4th position at the moment.
So Chris has had a fantastic race so far. He qualified all the way in 11th place, and he's now up into the 4th position overall. So he's pretty much had the race of the day so far.
A bit of an issue here for Gasper Trestenjak in the Corvette number 29 here. He's been having an incident on the backstretch and hit the wall slightly, and then had to repair a bit of his engine. He's standing in the pits for some time, and the engine definitely smoking, so we could see that there was a problem, and that makes him 36th in the total grid, just in the middle of the forts now. And at the moment he's just looking to get back on the track, and maybe looking to get back some positions, but that will definitely be hard. Brenton Davis almost 1 lap ahead here, and he is 8th in the Corvette.
So we think this is pretty much the best fight on track at the minute, which is the one you'll see in between Arnon Lecrom and Paul Ilbrink. It's literally only just a sort of a twitch for car away from each other. And now get the run on Paul now. So right up behind the Allman straight. And what's he going to do? Is he going to take the inside? Is he going to feint for the inside? Or is he going to try and see what happens on the entry to Sunset?
There we go, side by side. Ooh, almost hit the inside wall there. He's definitely not expecting the car to turn in that well, and that is lucky for Ilbrink, and he's able to maintain his 6th position on the outside of the last turn.
And it was a good attempt. He might try that again if he gets close enough again. Obviously, there's some Ford GTs in the way there. You really have to come offline once you come out of the exit of that corner.
I've got some further lap cars coming up, especially as we're ploughing through the Ford GT field at the moment. And of course, Arno Lecomte has also got an onboard camera here. We're going onboard with him to just show you again how the time differences and the gaps between the cars develop, as they are just approaching another Ford GT, and Lecomte trying to break past the outside, and it's almost working. Ilbrink just can't get past Alexandre Gravouille in the Ford, and it's just, the track isn't so wide, and it looks like, Rob, they're just not trying to risk anything at the moment.
Well, no, you wouldn't try and risk 40 minutes into a full. You see that massive deceleration there between the Ford GTs and the LMP2s as they flick through the double left-hand side. It's a very tight circuit on this infield. You really got to try and get the flow of a couple of corners, just to get the speed differential. We can see him just come out of that corner now, and I think he's actually got room to get up. He just has no room to get past.
And Team maybe has the chance now against Frederick. We've also had these guys passing the Ford GTs. Frederick Follestad way down the inside. Timo just looking over the white line. That is legal, and he's looking inside into the last turn, and it looks like he can maintain the lead. Way diving into the last turn, and they are looking for an early pit stop, both. Just over 30 minutes.
These boys are going to be racing in and out of the pit lane, it seems, because they are nose to tail.
And that's the chance for Thiago Alfao, to be honest. It's just been 2 seconds behind, and with a bit of a fast lap now, it's maybe the chance to leapfrog these guys.
We have a lot of the HPDs in now. I tell you what, that was a bit of a twitch, wasn't it? Coming out of Sunset Bend, keeping it quite tight and managing to flick yourself into the pit lane. That was quite dramatic.
And it looks like Frederick missed his pit stall a tiny bit. He had to stop and go forward a tiny bit, and that should secure him with the lead here.
Okay, so we can see about 5 to 6 of the HPDs in the pits now.
And Timo is off, and it looks like he's going to extend his lead by quite a margin. Frederick still standing in the pit, and that looks like further problems, as even Chris Dameron Jr. has passed him now.
So Chris having a race of the day, so he's further up now. Maybe he took on a little bit more fuel. Frederick, or maybe there was a an issue he had. He missed his pit box, didn't he? If I saw it right, did you say that earlier?
Yeah, he missed his pit box just a tiny bit. That was about 2 seconds time loss, but we're suspecting maybe he's even got a bit of damage. And combining that with heavier fuel load now, it would explain how he's just managed to lose about 5 seconds.
Was that when did he go? He went door to door with someone earlier in the race, didn't he?
I think he did, yeah. And even the tiniest bit of damage may need a bit of repairs needed in the pits. And if you've just a bit of a second, I mean, you can't just lose 5 seconds on the track, but messing up the pit stop, and there you go, 5 seconds are gone.
And that's all it takes at this level as well, because they're running so close to each other, these guys, and they're making hardly any errors, hardly any mistakes.
And it looks like Timo Wohler, to interrupt you a bit, has taken the lead of Keike Schuber just 1 lap ago, and it looks like Timo is already able to break free a bit. We're still looking to get a replay for that, but it looks like Kai has missed the hairpin braking point and just went straight into the grass. And, well, Timo Wohler just says thanks for that and takes the lead, as Keike Schuber's now got about 2 seconds of a gap to the lead, and that's going to be very interesting. 40 minutes into the race.
Spin up front. Timo is in the wall approaching Sunset Bend, just had a bit of a wobble. And that's a dramatic blow. He's got to come out. Oof! Because he just tries to miss Chris
right
Cameron.
In the traffic.
And he's back into pit lane.
And that looks like a heavy impact. Just checking the replay, with about 90 kilometers an hour into the wall, and that definitely needs repairs. His whole rear of the car is bent. The camber and the toe isn't right anymore. The rear wing is missing, and he's into the pits now.
And that's a doubly bonus for Frederick Follestad, who will have made up the place. He would have seen Timo in the pits there.
And we've just seen the replay. He goes into the last turn, gets a bit twitchy, still got the cold tyres, and he's just losing it. And that is a critical part of the car. Cold tyres, full fuel, and you're probably not used to the car anymore. And just a tiny mistake like that is enough to end your race.
And it was a big impact into the tyre rear first.
It looks like Timo is that's it for Timo. He's not going on. The car has been moved to the paddock and he's not on the track anymore, and that looks like that is the end of the race for Timo.
So if Timo does indeed retire, then that means that he has joined PJ Sturgis as the retiree, but he's the only retiree. I think Gasper may be retired still. We're just trying to find out the story of Gasper as well. But
he's
at the
still
moment,
running.
Yeah, 41 minutes in. He's obviously a few laps down. 41 minutes in, we've only had 2 people, or 1 person for sure retire, and then Timo, who may also retire.
And we're going to jump back in the lead action, or not exactly the lead action, but as we've got a bit of trouble going on, that puts Nuno Moreira and Christian Koch into 5th and 6th position, that is, as we've not got the pit stops completed. And it's going to be very interesting to see what these guys can do. I've not really seen them on the stream so far, but that's their chance to maybe end some positions.
We've seen Thiago either come to the pits or have some issue. He's just dropped down a couple of places now. And Marius, we have Emil Spindle back in the lead.
Yeah, not to forget that he already has been in the pits with his first pit stop and the crash, but it's if he only has to do 1 more pit stop, it's looking good for him to at least get a top 5 finish out of this.
And speaking of top 5s, Frederick Follestad is back into the top 5. Looks like he's got past Marius Thomas. So the return of the Frederick is very much on. He's 4 seconds between himself and Chris Dameron Jr. now in 4th position.
And quiet race for Norbert Sulzer and Thiago Arfau on 2nd and 3rd, but it looks like Sulzer has been able to extend his 2nd position by about 4 seconds, and he's the first one to benefit from maybe two more pit stops, of Emil Spindler. So if Emil has to pit 2 more times, even if it's just a splash and dash, that could be a benefit for Norbert. And so far it looks like he's just able to break free a bit from Thiago, and it's going to be interesting to see what Chris Dameron Jr. can do, Rob.
A story back down in GT2. Johnny Backman has been passed for the second position in the GT class by Nick Verstigi, and Edward Prado, I believe, is right up behind Johnny as well.
Eduardo doing a good job so far. That is solid driving. He's not looking for early overtakes or anything prematurely judged, but he's just looking for the mistake, and that's exactly what Nick did. And as Johnny made the mistake, Nick was able to pass him for the second position, as they are about 10 seconds behind Kimmo Suominen in the lead.
And talking about passing now, as you can see, Emil Spindle, just the leader of the race, just coming through the field now. Hopefully nice and drama-free from Emil's perspective. Just gets to run out from that Radicals Online driver.
Oh, and I have to interrupt you, we've got another crash in the last turn. Arnaud Lecombe also misjudging the entry. He was approaching Gasper Trebjak in the last turn, and he's heavily flipping around 3 times and landing on the roof, and that is the end for Arnaud Lecombe.
Big impact, big impact.
We're going to see that again, exactly, and it looks like he just misjudged the entry. Approaching a Corvette, looking to pass on the outside. We're going to see what happened there. Just looked like he also got a bit wobbly. Misjudged the space and then exactly hit the bit of the wall which comes on the track, and that puts him sideways on the roof again, and that looks like a severe incident. That should be race ending. He's in the pits looking to repair, but even with a good pit crew, that is probably not enough to get him back out on the track.
So we're now starting to see the attrition that endurance racing brings. We are 45 minutes through the race, and we've already seen some couple of big accidents. A lot less than I thought we would, but it's certainly changed up the top a little bit.
It's a bit of a routine coming in now. The field is spread out, so it's not really every 5 laps you get some overtakes. But yeah, it's really, well, interesting, as we're going to switch to the Fords again.
Sorry to interrupt. It looks like Johnny's looking a bit fighty, just behind Nick there. Very
Nick
close.
Very sideways. Everywhere.
Just as you try and get a rhythm in, there's a HPD that turns up behind you. That's Tiago Afara as well.
Maybe now the chance into the hairpin. Tiago just looking to extend his 3rd position in the race, and if he goes for the cocky move, Johnny almost back or rear-ending Tiago there under braking. And
he's got really slow down.
Eduardo Prado still charging these guys down.
He had the run, now he's got Dan Ron Jr. behind him, so it's literally every time they try and think about doing something, they've got HP that falls over them, you know. And then you just yield, because you just want the HPD just to carry on his business and get out of the way, and then get back to doing what you were originally trying to do, and that was try to fight for position.
And take a look at that, Rob. Johnny has not had any mistake, just had to back off a little, and that put him so far back, and now you see that Nick has got similar problems under overtaking, and it's putting Johnny closer again. And, well, the only one beneficial from that is Eduardo. He's just looking to maybe get an advantage. He's not acting, he's just a bit defensive, but it's definitely the moment of him will come.
Yeah, it's a very cautious sort of hunting style from Eduardo. As we can see, Frederick just come up the inside of them now. This is probably the easiest part for the HPDs to pass, you know, just let them pass, and then hopefully they're not around when you reach Sunset Bend, when you've really got to think about sticking to the track. You can just see now, Johnny just takes the defensive line.
You see the speed difference as Follestad is coming out of the turn way quicker, but then on the straight, both of them are of course full pedal to the metal, as Follestad is being overtaken by Marius Thomas now. Absolutely surprised down the inside.
So very cautious through traffic there. He just did the switch back just in between those GTs, and Marius just got the pedal to the metal and just went, I'm not going to stay as cautious as you are, Frederick. I'm just going to burn past all of you. And poor old Johnny there must have just seen to the left, to the right, a couple of HPDs just fly past him.
And especially for Tiago, the last lap, Tiago Afara, of course, speaking of, 3rd position HPD, the last lap has been a bit of a pain for him. He's off by a mere 4 seconds there by getting all of the 4 GTs in just 1 lap, and that puts him down about 16 seconds to Emil Spindle and about 10 seconds to Norbert Sulzer. And at the moment, Sulzer is definitely the man for the victory.
should be they turn up for the books as well. But that was a very opportunist, I can't speak today, passing by Marius then. And we just see him, that's going to be a fight to watch for the next few laps because Frederick won't take that line down. He caught up with Marius once and he passed Marius, and we're looking to do that again.
And we can also give you an update on the situation in the Corvette GT1 class. Kai has been in the pits already 2 laps ago, and that's very interesting, Rob. He's been in the pits after a good 40 minutes, so if he's going to pit now after 40 minutes, he's going to pit again after 1 hour 20, so he's looking for an equal 2-stop here. And comparing that to Teemu, he's still out, so probably, I don't want to suspect a 1-stop, but it definitely looks like Teemu has got more fuel, and it's going to be really interesting to see where Kai is able to get back on track, or especially Teemu is able to get back out of the pits and on the track. So for the moment, Kai is 2 seconds quicker. So I wonder if that's been the right decision. Teemu seems to be struggling with the tires, with the tires severely.
Yeah, it's the joys of strategic racing in our mixed class endurance racing. I believe Frederick has taken a little peek at Marius, and he's right up behind him now.
And also Chris Dameron Jr. is able to close in even further on Thiago Arfau, only about 1.8 seconds. He's got him inside, and it's going to be interesting to see if he's able to close in and make a pass.
Yeah, and what were you saying about the Corvette pitting? I believe we've got the leader, Kimmo, of the 4GTs. He's now also in the pits at 50 minutes. As we see Frederick just up the inside there, takes Marius. Nice clean pass now. He's got to get the hammer down now and try to get some space between them because he doesn't want Marius to take a little look, as Marius does. Just has a little flick inside, just to say, "Oh, I'm not letting you get that place that easy, mate." So
and
that's Frederick taking 5th place again. The gap is down to, as you said, Marius, 16 seconds and 18 seconds between Thiago and Chris Dameron Jr. So we've just got to see if Frederick can sort of get clear now. If he had a problem like he did before, where he caught up with some back markers, some slower drivers, and let Marius back in again.
And we had the Ford GT leader, Kimmo Suominen, in the pits, and Joni Backman and Nick Vestager also pitting, so we've got the order restored. And it's gonna be... No, I think Joni hasn't pitted yet, I'm sorry. Joni and Nick still looking to pit.
It'll be interesting to see how long Joni goes for before he decides to come back in, because obviously this is going to tell itself towards the end of the race as well, where they fuel really, really heavy.
And Nick Verstegen into the pits together with Joni Backman now. And it's going to be interesting to see if Joni is able to close in on Nick with a good pit stop only. About 3 seconds behind, so Nick has been able to break free. And now we see if Joni is right ahead of Nick, but it's going to be interesting. We're going to stick with them on the back side of the stream, of course. On the TV, we've still got Thiago Arfau and Chris Dameron Jr.
And the time between Thiago and Chris is now down to, as you can see, visibly under a second. So Chris has got some excellent pace on him.
And to give you an update on the Ford GTs in the pits, it looks like Joni has further problems. Standing for a very long time there. I don't know what he does. Can't really suspect a longer fuel count. I just suspect that has to be damage. He's lost more than 10 seconds in the pits, and that should bring Nick on a very secure second position out of the pits.
That's a massive blow for Joni Backman there.
And especially that will bring Eduardo Prado back up and back into play, especially as he's not been in the pits yet and leading the Ford GT so far. So when he just is able to put a good lap down, he's maybe even able to leapfrog Nick here.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, Chris, in corner number 1. They're just catching a couple of back markers there, and you can see that Chris just got a little bit loose coming to corner number 1.
And Thiago's got severe connection issues, and you can see that he's just blinking around, and we can only hope that his connection is stable enough to make him finish the race here.
Yeah, I've seen there's some quite high pings out there. I think there's quite a few people having connection troubles. But we've not had anyone drop off yet, really. So we still haven't had 2 retirements, and they're both from contact-related stuff.
And we're going to go on board with Eduardo Pardo, number 20 for GT, and that's the leader of the class, the last one to pit here, and he's been able to stretch his fuel load just to lap 25 here, and he misses his pit stop and has to reverse, so probably not going to be enough with the leapfrogging plan of him.
It's amazing to see how many people today have missed their pit boxes. You can just see João Pinot just rolling behind him. He doesn't miss his, he gets them straight in there.
Still standing. I want to keep an eye on Nick coming out of the last turn now past the pit entry, and that's going to be enough for Nick to maintain the second position here, it looks like, as he's passed just now.
And of course Yoni is way back. He's just coming out of the start-finish line now, so he might have a bit of pace on him. Certainly, as you can see, actually, he might reclaim the position.
Yeah, it looks like they both just refueled to the absolute max, and Nick is maybe looking for a short middle stint here. I just can't imagine how he could break free so far. Eduardo's just out behind Yoni, so they've been restoring their previous positions, as we just see Chris Dameron and Thiago Alfaro blazing past them, and we've got contact between Thiago and Chris. And Chris Dameron Jr. is complaining in the chat, and that is about the blinking.
Yeah, you certainly have to drop back there. You don't really want to be sort of pushing it when there's a car blinking in front of you. It's never nice to be taken out by contact like that. As you can just see Chris up alongside Yoni now. He's just trying to sort of get away from him, really. We visibly see now that Chris has had to drop back while all that's going on as well. He's just coming up behind Niels, or is it behind Eric Vidorf even?
Yeah, it's Eric Vidorf first, and then we've got Tivola Comp in front.
Okay, so we're just on the back straight, on the Ullman straight now. We are watching Chris Dameron Jr. and Thiago Alfaro battle for third position in the LMP class of the Sebring 120 minutes. We are 56 minutes through the 2-hour race. And you are watching us on GlacierTV.com. If any of you guys want to tweet us or anything like that, we'll be on #GlacierTV. Feel free to say some words. We can see Chris Dameron Jr. now past Thiago for third position, and Marius, he's probably quite relieved he's got past him.
He's going to be very relieved, and now he's only looking ahead. He's got a 16-second gap to close to Norbert Sultan. That's going to be a hard job even for Chris Dameron Jr. He's started from 11th, and so now third position, fourth position. He's been fighting for that, so securing a third place would be a definitely good result for him.
And also, going a little bit just in front of them, Chris is going to catch up with Nick Verstappen, who is actually right behind the GT2 leader of Kimmo Sutherland. So somewhere along the line, Kimmo has dropped some time, and he's allowed the second and third position guys, or at least the second position guys, to really catch up with him.
It might be a good strategic part from Nick there. He's been able to fuel the car quite low, and then go into the pits again soon to just refuel it to the end, and that could maybe be enough to just create a gap to Yoni and Eduardo and maintain the second position. So he's maybe even able to just bother Kimmo Suominen a bit, as Kimmo might look in the rearview mirror and see what is going on there, and he's got another car behind which he hasn't seen for the entire race. And it's going to be interesting to see when he pits, and it's also going to be interesting to see when Emil Swindle pits, the leader of the field. And we've seen him early in pits after a little bit of an incident with Timo Ivonen, and we suspect that he can't finish the race with just one more pit stop. So he's just looking to extend his gap as far as he can to maybe secure the second position. So even if he has to do a splash and dash, with that long pit, it's going to be a massive time loss.
Speaking of pits, we have Brandon Davis and Tilbrook's Lacombe in the pits, joining Tim Classen, who's also in the pits, and Lef Vansif, who's just exiting the pits as well. So we're still in the midst of pit stop sort of chaos. And I noticed earlier as well, we have Frederick Follestad, who unfortunately was in the lead for quite a lot of time in the race before he had an incident. Marius, you just can't shake Marius. There's still just under a second between them.
Yeah, and if you haven't noticed, we've got the same name, so there's a bit of a confusion. But yeah, it looks like he's still unable to put Frederick under pressure, and Frederick may be a bit nervous now after the incident, and of course looking to get back at least to Thiago Afau and Chris Demron Jr. We've got almost half of the race gone, and that is about 55 minutes. And we have to inform you again that the time we've got running in the stream is still a bit wrong, as we haven't got the pace lap in that. So we've got about a 4:30 offset, which we'll be able to inform you later on, as we're going to close the race with about 3 laps to go. Then we're going to inform you again and just tell you when we are going into the last lap. And we've got Emil Spindle in pits just before the 1 hour mark.
So here's now the car number 14 is now in the pits, long old drive, and he's followed into the pits by Norbert. So the first 2 drivers are in the pits.
And guess what?
They both hit their pit boxes.
And guess what? No, they haven't. Well, Norbert has, but Emil has just been running over his pit marshal a tiny bit and has to reverse. And that could be enough for Norbert to just close the 7.6 seconds gap a bit further. And well, I'm talking about psychological parts. If you can see your enemy, it's definitely giving you a boost, and that's what Norbert might be looking for.
Yeah, and we can see that Damron Jr. and Thiago are still quite close. It's still under a second between the third position. They're still fighting. As we see Norbert and Emil leave the pits, and you can see Norbert just come out of the pit restriction zone, the speed limit restriction zone, go past all of those little nicely placed cones and just rejoin the circuit.
Looks like Norbert had a bit of an issue with the pit limiter. He's been exiting the pits and just tapping the clutch a bit to see if it's getting out. But apparently he had 4 or 5 seconds to stay in the pit limiter, and then he got it off, so it's not much of a time gain for him, sadly. But Rob, talking about the pit stop situation again, Norbert had the same pit window than Emil, and well, we know that Emil is definitely going to pit another time, as he can probably stretch his fuel load. But then again, Norbert has also maybe got to pit another time, and that's going to put Chris Demron Jr. Thiago Afau back into the play.
Well, there's going to be a massive dash to the end of the to the checkered flag. I feel everyone's got to pit in the HPDs at least one more time, so we're going to see a lot more shaking up of the order yet. I feel we're just watching some cracking mixed class overtaken here. A lot of Corvettes, a lot of Ford GTs, sort of bunching everyone up. And I believe Norbert was at the front of that, actually, just been chased by, it was very wide into Le Mans, been chased by Bjorn Spindel.
Well, we've got Marius Thomas in the wall, out of the first turn and into the wall sideways.
So that's a big blow for the car number 25 car of Marius Thomas. And he's just limping back on the circuit.
Just been exiting the first turn on the grass and on the gravel, and then there's no chance to avoid hitting the wall, and now he has to go the long way, almost the entire lap into the pits, and that looks like some severe damage for him. We're going to see to give you a replay of that.
So I've seen him run wide into corner number 1 a couple of times today, but it looks like he's been able to get away with it this time. So Marius has now dropped into the eyes of Philip Geese. He's in 7th position, and if Marius, let's see how much. Well, he's just passed Marius now. So Marius has obviously carrying quite a lot of damage from that incident. It doesn't look like it's affecting his handling too much, because he's certainly not been having to sort of stop it sliding around. So we're just watching a replay of Marius's incident.
I was past the Corvette on the outside and then just tapped the grass, and there's no chance of keeping the car on the track, and he hits the wall. That's very, very, very unfortunate for him, and it looks like he's going to enter the pits now as we go back live.
Yeah, back live. He just come around Sunset Bend, dabbing on the brakes. Very tight entry, almost lost the back end, and he is in between those two little concrete slabs.
It's going to be interesting
So
what
it's
he does.
unexpected. He'll have to chuck a bit more fuel in there and see how long it takes to repair it, I should imagine.
Exactly, and we can give you a little review on the entire situation, as it looks like Chris Dameron Jr. is the man to beat at the moment. In the lead of the race by about 2 seconds in front of Thiago Afau, and he has been in the pits once, so if he manages to stretch his fuel load and pit in about 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and he's able to finish the race with just one more pit stop. Comparing that to Emil Spindel and especially Norbert Sulzer, they may be not able to finish the race with this fuel load, so it looks like we have a surprise coming up.
The battle for ninth position between Norbert and, or actually the 10th position between Christian Koch and Nuno Moriera is on your screens. Looks like this one might take a couple of laps to develop. It's a nice little smooth driving there, just as it come in. Look at those little lines across the floor as well. You can't really see them too much in the nighttime configuration, but certainly they help you out with your braking spots here. And Frederick Follestad now, our leader that had a bit of an incident and slips all the way down the pecking order, is in the podium at the moment, 37 seconds behind the current leader of Chris Dameron Jr. So it looks like his march to the front of the grid is continuing at a pace.
And speaking of the pit stops, Frederick Follestad in third. He has been in the pits in lap 19, so that should be enough with just one more pit stop, and he definitely has to pit one more time.
As on the screen, you just see. Yep. You just see Nuno Moriera just come inside of Christian on the Sunset Bend and take the position. That's the battle for 10th position. And I think we're going to see Christian just come inside and try and take that position back. No, he thought better of it. Through turn number 1, different lines. He just dropped back a little bit more. Now he comes into the infield, and let's see if he can get close again and try another pass. Slide, big slide from Nuno. So a massive slide from Nuno Moriera there. Looks like he's rejoined correctly. Didn't hit any walls. Marius Thomas, incidentally, just to give you guys a little bit more information, has officially retired from the race, making our 4 retirees now. And we are watching the number 8 car now of Nick Versteeg, who is closing up behind Kimmo for the battle of the 4 GTs. 4 GTs coming 3 laps down from the leaders.
To just finish what I started with the pit stop situation in the HPDs. Like I said, 19th lap pit stop for Frederick Follestad in third, 20th lap for Thiago Afau, and for Chris Dameron Jr. has also been the 19th. So they are all on similar pit strategies, and they probably have to pit one more time each. And then it's really up to the track situation. 1.5 seconds Thiago Afau versus Chris Dameron Jr. And then it's only 7 seconds for Frederick Follestad. And that would be an absolute bomb if he's able to just maintain and get back on the track and see if he can get back the lead. As I've just been seeing it from the last turn, Philip Geis into the wall of the last turn. That has been the 5th position for him, and that is lucky that it happened there because he's able to pit now and repair. But it looks like that has been a heavy incident as well, and we're looking to give you a replay of that as well.
So Sunset Bend catches another victim in Philip Geis.
That is a true victim because that is it for him. And we can see the replay now. That is very unfortunate once again, and that is, I think, the third guy who's retiring now from the last turn. Looked a bit different as he's just been wobbly through the middle of the turn, as we can see, and then binned it into the left.
And the bumps at Sebring claim another victim. Okay, so let's try and find some battles on the circuit for you guys. Currently, Jonny Bachmann and it's still been stalked by Eduardo Prado for third position in the 4GTs. There is still currently a fairly good battle for first position between Kimmo and Nick in the GTs.
We have to remember though, that is another thing with the pit stops. We've got Kimmo Suominen on a long first stint, and he's not even considering to go for a short middle stint, so he's been in the pits and around lap 23 and just heavily refuel again, while we've seen Nick Verstegen in the pit in one lap later, but then his pit stop was really quick, so we're definitely suspecting that he's on a shorter middle stint and just looks for a longer last stint then. But it's definitely enough to maintain the second position, that's what we can say. But it will be close for first. I don't think Nick has a chance just because he's to refuel a good bit longer.
Tiago Faro is in the pits. That means Frederick Follestad is up into second position, and he just comes out and just rejoins the racing line right in front of a couple of drivers. And that's Christian and Philip Weber. He just came in front of us. A bit rude. He wasn't up to race pace yet, but he didn't really have anywhere to go, to be honest. So we've got to find out what happened. If that was an intentional pit stop by Tiago. We are watching the battle now. We are watching that battle with Christian and Philip. And it looks like Tiago's just got a bit of space between them now. But saying that, Philip's having a look in his rearview mirrors because that is a battle there. That is a battle for 7th position. So, Marius, we need to work out what has happened to Tiago. Why has he dropped from 3rd to about 6th position?
It looks like he had either got a pit stop or just a severe problem. It could also be connection related. Then he got a lag hit and went off due to that. And just looking a bit through the replay to see what really happened.
Chris Cameron Jr., our leader, is in the pits. Lap number 37, an hour 11 minutes in.
And we could suspect that is a planned pit stop, and that would also make it planned for Tiago Afao, as he's been in just one lap ago. So we're looking Cameron Jr. versus Afao, as Afao is just around the last turn, as Chris Cameron Jr. has been released, and that's going to be very close. Definitely closing the gap from Tiago Afao, and we now look Chris Cameron Jr. not able to go to the left. He has to avoid the cones and now goes to the left, as Afao is just coming around the first turn, and Cameron takes the lead once again.
Drama in the GT2 field because the Glacier Racing car of Jonny Bachmann has had an incident. And heavy damage there for Jonny. I can just see, I think it was before Sunset Bend, but very damaged car.
Just looking to get out of the way now, Alexandre Gravouille behind him, and Jonny's got severe steering issues, as we see also Guillermo Rato behind him goes a bit into the grass. We'll be looking what happened there.
So that's a GlacierTV mystery at the moment. We need to find out what's occurred there. I think Guillermo Rato just sort of pulled off the circuit there. We've got to see if Jonny, I'm presuming, must come in the pits. Had a bit of a touch there between him and Guillermo as well, where they're having big difficulties trying to keep that car on the track, trying to keep that 4GT pointed in a straight direction. Straight line, as you can see behind Jonny, João Pino, just goes past him. Jonny pulls off of the line. Oof, slides across the track again. That's a very damaged car, Marius.
Yeah, and it's just happened before the pit entry and probably got together with Chris Cameron Jr. It's hard to say, as the guys just timed out a bit. and he didn't decide to go pit exactly when it happened. So he had to do a whole more lap, and now he's looking to get into the pits and looking to fix his damage. And that should be, yeah, that should be what Eduardo Prado has been hoping for.
Oh, just as Yoni comes in the pits there, Philippe Weber, Christian Koch and Teppo Cervelo all battling for position coming to the pits as well, and they really have to throw the anchors out of the car because there was a very slow Ford GT limping into pit row.
And we've also got Paul Ilring and Frederick Follestad into the pits, and that has been the first and second position before the pit stop, and that should re-sort our order with Emil Spindel and Norbert Sulzer in front, and they are still looking for a good 30 minutes to their pit stop.
It's going to be a great race out of the pits, I believe. There's a lot of guys in the pits at the moment. Guillermo Ratto leaves the pits, and I believe he will rejoin in. All the way back down in 10th position in the Corvettes, which is the last position in the Corvettes. We've still got 10 Corvette drivers racing at the moment, and we still have 9 of the 4 GTs. We've had all our retirements currently. We have had in the HPD, we have Marius Thomas, Arnold Lacombe, Timu Livanen and PJ Sturgis all retired today.
And coming back to the guys, Philip Weber, Christian Koch and Teppo Cervelo, and especially Nuno Moreira, they've all just been in the pits, like you said, Rob, and it looks like Nuno has made a very long pit stop.
Well, he did have a little bit of an off earlier, so there's a lot of damage to be fixed for Nuno Moreiras. Lap number 39 for Emil Spindel now, who is our leader. Just waiting for Frederick Follestad to cross the line.
And that's going to be a very, very interesting situation. We've got about 1 hour 10 exactly done as Emil crossed the line. So we're definitely looking for one more pit stop for Emil and Norbert, who are first and second. But also it could not be enough for the guys behind, and that would mean a third pit stop here. So I'm not saying this, but it could even turn out to be a positive ending for Emil Spindel and Norbert Sulzer, as they had to pit early because of damage, and they could just stretch their pit window to the absolute max and make it just with a tiny bit of fuel over the finish. But we'll definitely keep you updated on that. It's a bit of a tricky situation at the moment. It's hard to really oversee the entire things, and as soon as we get news on that and we've done our math, we can definitely give you an update.
Okay, let's look back in the HPD field, all the way back to car number 30, which is battling for, I think it's 11th position. Just see, whoa, Teppo Cervelo go up the inside of Kevin Vietmans, and just think about pulling back and just forming back in position. So you don't want to come together with all of those guys outside pit row.
And we've got a guest, and not a pleasant thing here for Joni Backman with us in the booth. Usually only you're known for doing the broadcast here with us, as you've just been, yeah, shot out of the race is maybe the right definition. What has happened?
The usual one. I mean, every time I get involved with Corvettes, GTs, you name it, I never have any issues. But for some reason, I came into the last 2 turns from the back straightaway. I saw one Corvette, 2 HPDs coming right behind me, and I just thought that I dive deep to the inside so they can clearly see that I'm actually going to the inside. And the other one, the first one, just noticed that and went for the outside, but for some reason the guy behind him just tried out his long distance glasses and forgot to see who was in 2 feet in front of him, and he just drove right in inside my rear window. So not much I can say. The car just bent completely. I mean, I basically must have had a puncture or something, because the car seemed to wobble like 3 feet in every direction, whether I was on the throttle or not. So
very unfortunate, Joni. One thing though, you've been fighting with Nick Verstegen and Eduardo Prado for almost the entire first stint, and then we've seen you guys pit almost at exactly the same point. Though Eduardo and US had a severely longer pit stop, Nick has gained about 10 seconds just in the pits. Have you got an idea what's happened there?
Yeah, Nick did a short stint in the middle. The proper fuel strategy for this race is to have 2 full tanks and 15.5 gallons more, and you can alter it any way you like as long as you get that total amount of fuel in. But estimating what Nick just did, like you saw the amount of time that he gained on Kimmo, I will be betting that Nick is on a short stint right now, and he's going to have a full tank of fuel in the end of the stint. So I think Kimmo Suominen, and if he just keeps his car at the track, it's going to be an easy victory for him.
When would you recall that Nick is going to enter the pits? We are in lap 37 now.
When did we pit?
I think somewhere around lap 23, so it might be
38
soon.
38, 39, 40, something like that.
Alright, thanks a lot Joni Backman for the short news from on track, and definitely about your situation. That is unfortunate. And thanks for the news about the tactics, and we're going to keep an eye on that, as Rob, I think we've got some news of retirements.
Yeah, I've got a couple of retirements for you, just to catch you up with what's happened. Richie Stanaway retired for some reason. We're trying to work out why he's retired. But also Tim Klessen's retired. So it looks like Richie Stanaway, we didn't really talk about him much today. He's one of our HPD drivers. He's had to call it a day. Tim Klessens, who we did talk about a little bit earlier, and he's out as well. So we've got to find out what happened to Tim there. We are now watching, just to fill you guys in, we're watching a battle between Johnny Hagner and Lef, or just Lef, in the Corvettes. That's the battle for fourth position. Just see getting closer and closer, just coming to Sunset Bend. Looks like he might be able to have a run on him. If he gets a pretty good entry, had to just drop off, and there's, as we say again, one of the HPDs just coming by when you really don't want a HPD to be there.
And Emil Spindle still in the lead, lap 42 now for him, and Emil Spindle hits the wall on the front straight. And Rob, have you seen that? What has happened there?
I've just literally caught that. That was a terrible mistake by Emil.
And that is it for
side by side.
That looks like that is absolutely it, and he just hit an absolute landmine, and I can't really tell if it's a bit of the wall there, but he just hit the wall apparently. That is what an amazing thing. That is it for Emil Spindle there, and that's all his chances for the win here.
I can't believe there was that much damage. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Just threw it right, hit the wall. That's his. He can't call it a day for that, surely.
And that puts Norbert Ulzer in the lead here with about 11 seconds in front of Chris Dameron Jr. That is a bit of a surprise there.
Big drama at the 120 minutes of Sebring. We are an hour 22 minutes in. You are watching GlacierTV.com. And massive drama. Spindale just had a little bit of a landline. I believe that's a landmine. Sorry, I believe that's a technical term, Marius. And Norbert is in the lead. Chris Dameron Jr. is in the second position. Tiago Alfaro is in third. Frederick Follestad is continuing his charge to regain podium position. And Paul Ilbrink is just behind him. That's our top 5.
And we're still looking for the last and the final pit stop of the race. Just approaching 1 hour 20, so we've got 40 minutes to go. That's about the fuel range you want to have for the HPD. So it's going to be interesting when the guys are pitting, and especially it's going to be interesting for Norbert Sulzer, because he's the one out for the longest part, and it's going to be interesting if he can make it on just one stint or one set of fuel and tires, or if he has to go for a splash and dash, and then 10 seconds won't be enough in the end.
Norbert Schulze slides around the outside of Johnny Hagner and Eva Venezuela. I can't say that name. And they didn't have the same sort of landmine effect that Emil did, so they passed each other pretty much in exactly the same position.
And Tiago Alfaro is all over Chris Dameron Jr. as it looks like Dameron Jr. got a bit of damage there from the overtakes. Left rear of the car is a bit bent, and both of the wing end plates are tucked in, as probably he's lacking the straight line speed now, and that gives Alfaro the chance to attack him.
So this is the battle for second position. Dameron Jr., I tell you what, he has been my driver of the day so far. Absolutely charging. Started from 11th, is now up into second position. Quite drama free. kicks up a little bit of dirt there.
Yeah, it looks like he's he's the perfect example of this endurance thing. I mean, at the start of the race, he has a qualifying time which is 6.5 tenths off the lead, starting in 11th, and he's just looking to get a clean race done and no incidents, and look where he is now.
And it looks like Thiago's connection issues have resolved themselves as well, because I certainly don't see any blink in there. Just going to double check to see how our leader's getting on. Remember guys, if you've got any comments about the race, we are on Twitter, just hashtag GlacierTV. Just feel free to drop us a line, say hello, or just try and correct us if you think anything we're saying is slightly incorrect and inaccurate.
And with about 1 hour and 20 minutes to go, I think we should give you a quick rundown through the grid, at least the front positions. That means starting with the leader of the race, Norbert Sulzer, so far 12.8 seconds in front of Chris Dameron Jr. in the HPDs. Thiago Afau in third, looking to charge down Dameron Jr. as we've still got these two on the stream, and it's just a matter of time till Afau makes the pass. Frederick Follestad, the long-time leader in secure 4th position so far, 26 seconds for him. Paul Ilbrink, Roderick Croyne in 5th and 6th, and then we've got the first guy over 1 minute, Björn Spindel, Christian Koch, Kevin Wickermans and Teppo Savella, all close together, and it's going to be an interesting fight, especially around 8th and 9th, so we're going to stick to that, and we're going to go back to 2nd position.
Dameron Jr. seriously been held up by the Corvettes, and Thiago just had a little look on the inside. They were side by side for a fair old bit, but it's just sorted itself out now. They are seriously having trouble in this traffic.
And you just see how much that is. Ford GT Corvette, and they just can't breathe. And Afau couldn't make the pass there, as Dameron's just been too aggressive and couldn't create a gap for Afau there. But now, especially as they are on the straights and probably not get another overtake, it's a good thing to see that Afau is able to charge him down the straights, and that's what I mean by a matter of time. It's just going to be a hard thing for Chris Dameron to defend this 2nd position so far.
Yeah, coming under increasing pressure. Just try to double check to see if Chris has got a little bit of damage in his car. Looks like his rear split is a little bit bent. So this is maybe one of the reasons why Thiago is right up behind him.
So, to continue with the Corvettes, as we just been interrupted a bit, Kai Kashuber, the pole man here, still in the lead. He had a bit of a trouble earlier with Timo Wohler, but he managed to get the lead back, and that puts Wohler back by about 10 seconds into 2nd position. They are still looking to make their 2nd pit stop, so it's going to be an interesting thing who refuels how much, and we're going to update you with that as soon as it's done. Marcel Wiemers in 3rd position. We haven't really talked much about him, but it looks like a safe 3rd spot for him in front of Joni Hartner and Yves van Genechten in 4th and 5th. Brendan Davis in 6th position, also looking for a safe place there in front of Thibault Lecomte. And then we've got Gasper Tredenjak and Guillermo Rato in 8th and 9th, and they are completing the class as only 1 out of 10 cars, and that is Tim Klessens, has DNF'd so far, and we've still got 31 cars going out of 39, and on this challenging track and this much traffic, Rob, that is a miracle almost.
A miracle is probably the best word to describe it. What an amazing quality of driving we've had here from these guys today. This is the best of the best so far that have managed to qualify and take part in today's event. So we've got some outstanding drivers out here today. Going to give you a quick rundown of the Ford GT grid. In 1st place, currently we have Kimmo Surin in 2nd place, Nick Vestige. Third place is Eduardo Prado. Fourth is Alexandra Gravuoli. In fifth position, Yao Pino. Sixth position, Victor Budnek. In seventh is Gerd Bjerg. In eighth position, Eric Friedhoff. And in ninth position, our only retiree from the Ford GT, GlacierTV's very own Johnny Backman.
And we're still with Thiago Arfau and Chris Dameron Jr. And just to give you a quick introduction about the lap times once again, we've seen them hitting severe traffic, and just 2 laps ago they've been about 12 seconds away from the lead, and now it's already about 15. So within 2 laps they've just lost about 3 seconds, and no one of them has made a mistake. And that's exactly what we talk about. Endurance racing is, especially clean endurance racing, is one of the hardest things here. As you can see, these guys are just plowing through the slower cars, and yeah, especially Dameron Jr. had maybe one or the other incident, which is a bit questionable. But so far, the main race has been really clean, and especially in the front runners of each class, also the slower cars, been able to make yeah, a bit of a gap. As Thiago Arfau is off, just talking about a clean race, and Arfau off and into the wall.
Well, we caught that live on GlacierTV.com. The Ford GT of Guillermo came out, and Chris Dameron Jr. just had to take a little deviation line. He just really wanted to cut in to go inside, and that really caught Thiago short there, because he had nowhere to go, and he just did a bit of a lock up. All the weight transfer went in the front, the rear kicked out, and he pretty much torpedoed that wall, Marius.
Hey, just looked to get the best run out of the turn to get Chris maybe down the straight, and as he did that, he tapped the grass, and that was just enough to put the car sideways and into the wall, and then there's no chance of holding the car. And he's into the pits now. It looks like the damage might be fixable, although the hit has been severe. Frederick Follestad passed, Paul Ilbring passed, and also Roderick Croyden passed. So he's maybe able to keep the 6th place if he can make it on the fuel. So we're going to see how the pit stop goes, and yeah, that puts Chris Dameron Jr. into the safe 2nd place now.
Very safe 2nd place, although as we've said that, things can probably go very wrong for Chris now. We have about half an hour left of the race as well, so for Thiago it's all about damage limitation now. Get that car repaired, see how it comes out the pits, and then see if you can claw some places up.
And Nick Verstegen, 2nd place in the Ford GTs, is in the pits, as we've only got about 1 hour, we've got 1 hour 25 done, and that makes 35 minutes to go. So he's just a bit earlier in the pits than Kimmo, and maybe 4 laps to go for Kimmo. So it's probably not going to be enough, but Nick is definitely going to push the car to the absolute max here, as he's going out for his last stint, and just a tiny bit over 30 minutes to go here on Sebring.
So we can see Kimmo on TV now. This is another little master stroke from Kimmo. He's been absolutely top of the field today with regards to speed, pace, and managing traffic. He's been absolutely outstanding. We can still steer his car in the pit still, so we'll see how this sort of shakes down. Was this sort of 4 or 5 laps later than Johnny Backman said when he came into our commentator's booth earlier?
It looks like Thiago Arfau has got a bit of a problem now in the pits. The car is probably not fixable, and that will maybe take him out of the race completely. And in the spectator chat he's complaining about the quick repair, which you have isn't working, and I'm not quite sure if you even have one, so it's definitely too much damage for Thiago Arfau, and that puts him out of the run for the lead race, or maybe even just the 2nd position. But main contender for the race win is out. Thiago Arfau retires from the race in lap 47.
Massive blow. We've seen some HPDs drop out today, and he's just the latest in a long line of HPDs. Kimmo is in the pits from the lead of GT2,
and that is just 1 lap difference. And we've talked with Johnny Backman, who's been a Ford GT driver himself, and he suspected Nick to pit about 3 laps earlier, and Kimmo a tiny bit later. So it's definitely the last pit stop for both of them, but it's not that big of a difference. And I can't really tell why Nick had such a good pit stop. That has been absolutely amazing, and we're definitely keeping an eye on where Kimmo pits out. car is still on jacks and looking to be refueled, as it now is being lowered, and he's good to go.
And Nick is on Allman Straight. He's just entering the Sunset Bend now. Is a troublesome Corvette just inside of him that's really forcing him to take his non-optimum line. He's just coming on the start-finish straight now. And we'll just see where he feeds out in relation to Kimmo.
And of course, need to mention that Eduardo Prado takes the lead for a short time, as he's still looking to complete his last pit stop here. And it looks like Kimmo can maintain the lead with quite a safe distance.
Yeah, he's just out through corners 3, 4 and 5, just coming down a big bend now. It's being chased down by Chris Dameron Jr., so he's just going to pull to one side and let Chris Dameron Jr., who is currently in second place, just pass him nice and cleanly, just so they don't interfere with any of their lap times. Big braking zone now for the hairpin, corner number 7. You flick right, then you flick left a little bit, come back onto the Fangio straight, up towards Cunningham, which is turn number 10. Right, so attention draws itself to our our Corvettes, and when are we going to see our first Corvette into the pits, Marius?
Well, we've actually seen the first one in the pits, and we missed that. And that was a similar time than the Ford GTs, lap 44, just 2 laps ago, with Kai Kashuba entering the pits and leaving the pits with absolutely no problem, and that is completing his last pit stop here. And now it's just a question of time to see this guy, who's just got on the stream, Timo Wolle, into the pits, and then it's him versus Kai for the serious competition, and it's going to be an interesting thing to see which one of these guys is able to cling on the lead, as Timo doesn't pit yet, so he's the one making a longer middle stint here.
Well, I thought that line he was taking meant he was going to come in, to be honest, but yeah, he just stayed out in the end, just loosened up on that corner. And Timo and Kai have been battling throughout, pretty much throughout the race. They've certainly been the fastest in the Corvette field, so hopefully we'll see them come back together.
Yeah, they're almost 1 lap ahead of Joni Hagner in 3rd and Yves van Genechten. So these guys are still fighting for 3rd position, we may not forget that. But for the lead, it's definitely an interesting thing to see when Timo is going to pit. Kai will have the better tires now, he will have more fuel though, but with the better tires it should justify a better run and better time. So we'll definitely keep an eye on when Timo is pitting.
And we'll be bringing you that on GlacierTV.com. We'll just stick with the lead of the GTs. It's got a bit of a gap. There is a catching HPD driver behind him. Mr. Dameron Jr. is appearing on our television screens again soon.
And talking about the HPDs, it's looking to get closer and closer to the pit stop window for a 3-stop here. So whoever's going to need another pit stop is probably going to get into the pits quite soon.
That was, for a very brief moment, all of our class leaders on the same long shot camera, Marius. Very rare that happens.
And talking about class leaders, Eduardo Prado, leading the Ford GTs, has still not been in the pits, so he's also looking for a long middle stint, and it looks like that's the way to go.
So another lap, lap 47, and he's not in the pits again, takes that same line. Just hugs that apex in Sunset Bend. So lap 48 for the Corvettes. Currently just about 23 or 24 minutes left, I think, in the race.
And to give you a little update on the plan of what these guys are maybe planning, I can't really tell, but it looks like, well, Kai has been in the pits in the 20th lap, and Teemu is only pitted in lap 28. So he's looking for an 8 laps longer first stint. And adding these 8 laps to the second stint, we've seen that Kai has already been in the pits, so I'm just going to check which lap that was, and I think it has been 43. So probably if Timo is going with the same tactics, he's going to pit in either this or the next lap, and that makes it a lower amount of fuel needed, and that makes it probably even better tires for the last stint for a longer time, as he will only have about 25 minutes to go. And the gap is exactly right for making this very interesting for the race win in the GT1 Corvettes, of course, that is. And we may not forget Joni Hagner and Yves Wangenecht, and behind, who are currently fighting for third, and Marcel Wiemers and Thibault Lacombe fighting for fifth. So Corvette is split up into two groups, but definitely fighting within the positions here.
And they certainly slowed down the HPD of Philippe Vibert there, just down the straight. They had a little wiggle. And you can see them just tugging out. Whoa, almost close. That was close.
Whew, deep breath there. And we may not forget we're already on the run for more than 1.5 hours, so concentration is key. And speaking of that, Eric Weidorf, he does the same mistake than a few people here and misses the last turn and hits the wall.
Sunset Bend claims another victim. As you can see, Philippe Vibert very, very cautious, trying to get, every time he wants to get past these guys, they're in a battle. Just trying to get past them now, just trying to get past the leading of the two guys watching, Tilbert Lacombe. And Eric Vibert, as you said, claimed in Sunset Bend. Let's see how he's getting on as well.
And I have to say that again, Eduardo Prado has still not pitted and he's still leading the Fords. And that is a very interesting tactics there. Less than 25
did we
minutes
just see
to
a
go.
spin?
We did just see a spin, and we're sorry, we have to apologize for the bit of a chaotic thing here, but that was Marcel Wiemers, I think.
So Marcel Wiemers, who is, let's see if he got a bit of contact there. That's the number 12 car.
Yeah, Lacombe and him got together, and Lacombe's car definitely does not look good. Going very sideways, bit of a crab walk there.
So just a little bit of a dive bomb there. He did, woof, just hit the rear quarter. That was a very, very rookie error. As Marcel, when he rejoins the circuit, almost catches Mr. Damron Jr. again. So massive blow, massive, but just a bit of impatience there from Marcel, just as he dive bombs inside.
And it looked like Marcel has also got almost no damage from this, but Thibault Lacombe looks like he's definitely looking for a longer pit stop, if he can even make it to the pits. And Brandon Davis just overtook him for the 6th position, and Guillermo Rato is also not far behind. So that is the sad thing, as Marcel Wiemers also pits for a damage repair.
So massive blow for these guys. Obviously, Lacombe will have a massive caved-in rear of the vehicle, which just, won't be very nice for the handling. Currently watching Damron Jr. in the HPDs. He's our leader today. Frederick Follestad is 12 seconds behind the lead now on his march back up to the top of the placings again.
And it's going to be very interesting to see. We've still got the pit situation in front of us. And, well, Damron Jr. is suspected to pit a bit earlier. And, well, 10 seconds is a lot, Rob, but with lower fuel, and we know that Frederick Follestad is definitely the guy you least want behind you. He had the pole, and he had been about 7/10 quicker than Damron Jr. So if he's really able to put these laps down and get through traffic, it's going to be a really, really tight finish.
Yeah, and I think we might have seen a pass Norbert Schauser and Roderick Crinan. These guys had a pass. I think Roderick's falling like a stone because Teppo's just gone past him as well. Is Roderick had a bit of an accident?
I think he has been in the pits, it looks, by the looks of it.
Okay, so maybe a scheduled
could be an early pit
from
stop.
Roderick.
And that also brings Teppo Sivella up to 5th position, but yeah, he's not pitted yet either, so it looks like Roderick is the one opening the pit stops here for the leading HPDs, and we'll just keep an eye on Chris Damron Jr. and Frederick Follestad to see when they are going to pit, and that's going to be very interesting. And we have to remember still, we've got 3 classes here. Eduardo Prado in the Ford GT hasn't pitted yet, and Teemu Vuorle hasn't pitted either. And that's going to bring us into a bit of a chaotic trouble in the end of the race, as we have to just get all the stuff together and give you a broad overview about what's going to happen.
Okay, so I think we've lost a lot more drivers now than we did before.
And sorry Rob, talking about it, Teemu is in. Teemu Vuorle, lead off the Corvettes into the pits for the last pit stop.
Okay, so we need to keep an eye on car number 18 now of Kei Kushabe and just see where he ends up.
going to be a low amount of fuel needed, so it's going to be so close.
Kay is currently on the Ormond Straight. It's just in front of another gaggle of GT cars.
Timo already revving the engine, and it's going to be Eduardo Prado in the pits as well, so we'll just jump to him after this is finished. And Wurle is running, and he's got a long way to go to the exit. Kashuba out of the last lap, last turn now, looking to get exactly over the finish line now, and Wurle can cancel the pit limiter, and that's going to be very close. Exactly as we expected, and Wurle maintains the lead here.
Okay, so another battle's on now for the lead in GT1s. I'm going to see how long it takes Timu to get back up to speed and get those tyres warm again, because Kay will be putting him under pressure.
And Kai has got these warm tyres, and he's probably got an evil plan to just charge him on, and then it's not much time left. It's just about 20 minutes, and we'll keep an eye on that. But for now, we have to update you with the Ford GTs as well. Eduardo Prado has been in the pits, and that puts him back into third position, I think. Kimmo Suominen still in the lead with a comfortable 10-second in front of Niek Verstegi, and then it's Eduardo Prado after we've seen Joni Backman crash about 10 laps ago, and this looks pretty much settled.
And it's amazing to think in the Corvettes we've had, I think we've just seen Chris Damron Jr. in the pits.
That is correct, and also Thibault Lacombe is in for a second pit stop behind him. But our eyes are on Chris Damron Jr. and especially Frederick Follestad, as it counts now. Now it's the time for Follestad to make up time, and now it's the time for Chris Damron Jr. to not make any more mistake. We're talking about 12, 11 seconds for Follestad to make up, and that's going to be a major job for him. So it's going to be a really interesting battle, not just in the Corvettes, but also in the HPDs, and for the overall win of the 2012 120 minutes of Sebring here.
I'm pretty sure I just saw a red and black Ford GT off at Ormond Straight, just trying to work out who that was. Just had a look just to make sure it was a Nick Verstegi, who's currently in second, third position or second position, just crossed his line. It wasn't him, so that's good. It was someone else. We need to find out who that was.
Yeah, and we have to apologize, especially for the bit of chaos going on here. It's, you noticed that, and we had 39 cars, of which still about 29 are going, and this is just intense, and we can switch the cameras as soon as we want, and we'll always hit the battle.
I think Paul Ilbrink's had a bit of trouble, just trying to find out what's happened to him.
And Frederick Follestad into the pits just one lap later, and that's going to be a pre-decider for the race win. Follestad into the pits, looking to refuel just a tiny bit less, and Damron Jr. now looking to get on the backstretch, and that's going to be a pre-decider. Follestad may be the quicker guy out there, but about 5 seconds gap, and that's not going to be enough to make up. Follestad still running, last pit stop.
Okay, so I found out what happened to Paul Ilbrink and Anthony Rosselli. That's just as they're coming out of Sunset Bend. Paul just came really tight, just past the apex, and was driven into by Anthony Rosselli.
And I have to interrupt you, Damron is coming up and Follestad is running, and that's going to be as well very close. Really short pit stop for Follestad. Damron takes the lead, but that's going to be an absolute thriller. Meanwhile, in the Corvettes, we also have to give you an update on that. Timo Wurle out of the pits, we've set that, and it really looks like with the fresher tyres, he's just able to blast and really put the laps down. He could profit of a bit of a mistake of Kai there. He's now got a bit more than 3 seconds gap, and he's just looking to develop that and make it as big as possible, as the last lap has already been another 10th quicker. And we're going to stick with the GT1 battle, the LMP battle here, but we'll definitely keep an eye on the GT1s here. Frederick Follestad is off, just talking about it, into the grass.
That's the second major sort of braking corner in a row. He's really had a wobble. He had a wobble coming into Cunningham, and he just lit the rear brakes up, and he just run wide. I think that was Tower. I think it was turn number 10.
Yeah, turn number 10.
He's lost
very hard on the brakes, and that has just been a tiny bit too cocky. He's been out of the pits and he probably didn't remember that his tires weren't up to full temperature, and that just maybe cost him the win.
Great shame. He is just... Oh, he takes a really wide line just coming into Norman straight there. But he's got to be pretty happy with himself because he really had a lot of trouble earlier in the race, and he's clawed himself back up to second now, so he's just got to make sure he brings that home.
Well, and another question is, of course, we may not forget about Norbert Sulzer. Norbert Sulzer, of course, taking the lead now as he had pitted in lap 47, I think it was. Sorry, 49 even. And, well, he's 10 seconds in front of Dameron Jr. and now it's really just the question, will he pit another time? 17 minutes to go. That's 12 laps maybe, and it's really going to be close. He might need to come in for a splash and dash.
Okay, so this is exciting scenes at the end of the 120 minutes of Sebring, brought to you by GlacierTV.com. This must be excruciating for Norbert. If he's driving around knowing he has to make a pit stop and he's found himself first place in the final sort of, you know, sort of 11 or 12 minutes, massive, massive blow for him.
And now it's maybe the time up to inform our viewers about the offset. And as you can see in your stream window on the bottom right, you've got the time running down, and you have to add about 4 minutes 30 to that, as that is the time of the pace lap. We still haven't figured out the code to correct that, but we're working on that. So for the future, you might not have to add that manually. But we'll definitely be able to count down the laps for you and tell you when the leaders are going to the second last and especially the last lap. So count on us, but definitely so far add about 4.5 minutes to that time.
I see Norbert just come out of Sunset Bend over the start-finish line for the start of his 58th lap.
And it's a good time, about 15 minutes before the race is finished, as Norbert Sulzer just came across the line with a time of 1 hour, 45 minutes and 16 seconds. To give you a quick rundown through the top runners of each grid, or each class especially, Norbert Sulzer, as we see him on the stream, is leading the LMPs here, 10 seconds gap in front of Chris Dameron Jr. Frederick Follestad, we've just seen him having a bit of an issue in the braking zone of turn 10. 2.8 seconds behind Dameron Jr. in third. Roderick Croyne running in fourth, just about to secure his place, as Tapo Savella has been in the pits. And Savella as well is going to maintain his fifth position in front of Christian Koch in sixth. And then we've got Björn Spindel and Kevin Wekemans in seventh and eighth. And I don't quite know if that is the updated situation, but it looks like that's going to be sort of the finishing order and last. And that brings us to the GT1 category of the Chevrolet Corvette C6R. And we've seen a similar situation than in the LMP1s in the pits. Timo Wolle able to maintain the lead, and Kashuba so far trying to charge down, and they are just similar laps every time, and it looks like it might not be enough for Kai. 4 seconds gap between these two, and behind them we've got Yves van Genechten. I think though he's looking for a pit stop still. He's on the longest strategy so far, so it's going to be him versus Joni Hagner in fourth once again. Marcel Wiemers in fifth, and Brendan Davis in sixth, Guillermo Rato in seventh, and then we've got Gasper Trestenjak and Thibault Lacombe, who both had severe trouble earlier on in the race, completing the Corvette GT1s.
And to run you through the 4 GTs, Kimmo Surinen's currently in the lead. Nick Verstappen is in second. Eduardo Prado is third. Hunter Eduardo Prado in fourth position. Alexandre Cruville. Fifth is Yao Pino, still in the sixth position. Victor Bubnek. Seventh is Geir Burke. Eighth is Eric Vadorf. And our retiree, Joni Beckman, is at ninth.
And speaking of retirees, we've only got 9 cars here out of the race. And, well, 7 of them are HPDs. And Tim Claessens for the Corvettes, and like you said, Joni in the Ford GTs. That's a good cut here. It looks like Paul Ilbrink and Anthony Rizzoli will be adding to that, as they are dropping down the grid of the HPDs. But even that will probably make it up to 11 cars retiring, and that's still a good thing out of 39 here.
Oh, excellent. And certainly the other splits we will see in 120 minutes to Sebring. Will be interesting to see how many of those finished as well, because I think that we've had an extremely low attrition rate in this race.
And I don't quite know what happened to Frederick Follestad, but it looks like he might have a disconnect.
This race has got many more sort of stories to tell at the moment, because that's a massive blow for Frederick if he's had to disconnect.
Yeah, he's just disappeared for almost an entire lap, and I hope that is not completely it. It's very sad if that would be it, and we're going to keep an eye on him, or as soon as you can see him again, we're going to switch to him. But as it looks now, it looks like he won't come back, and that is a very unfortunate thing there.
Massive blow for Frederick, and also for Thiago as well. He's having a bit of a connection trouble still. Yeah, Frederick Follestad has put such a big charge in today, and what a great shame that would be for him to lose it. And there we go, just because of he's having some connection troubles, just a mere sort of 10 minutes before the end of the race.
That is, especially this such a short time, less than 10 minutes to go, that is really such a shame. And focusing on the LMP2s, it is now Norbert Sulzer leading with about 10 seconds over Chris Dameron Jr. And it's still the question if Sulzer has to pit. His times probably don't indicate that he's using a low sort of fuel injection here, as you've got the possibilities to run a lower fuel amount into the engine and dial your fuel setting down, and that probably gets you over 1 hour. Not over 1 hour, but definitely to the finish of the race. So Dameron Jr. definitely looking to finish, but Sulzer pits up, big question mark, and then he might prepare Chris Dameron Jr. for the win here, and he himself will drop to second position.
Jonny Hagner is claimed third position, I believe, in the Corvettes.
Yep. It looks like that has been due to the late pit stop of Yves van Genechten. He's been stretching out as soon as he could, and it's not enough to make it on one pit stop here, so he had to do his second pit stop just about 10 minutes before the finish. And it shows once again, Jonny has just not had any issues, and yeah, he's been able to take the third place once again.
Okay, so we're going to see position changes all the way up to the end of the race, I think, here.
And once again, we have to inform you, of course, as there's been a bit of a discussion in the spectator chat. Thanks, Tony, for that. We've done our math exactly, so we've got 5 minutes of 42 seconds of offset. So you just have to add that, and as a result, you'll get a bit less than 9 minutes to go here. So 9 minutes to go for Norbert Sulzer or Chris Dameron Jr. here, and it's still a big question mark of who of them is going to win this one.
The gap between the first two drivers stands at 9.8 seconds currently between Norbert and Chris Dameron Jr. 39 seconds back from Norbert is Roderick, now that Frederick Follestad has had to retire.
And we have to say already, whatever happens, and even if Chris Dameron Jr. is not able to claim the lead here, that has been an amazing race for him. I mean, he started 11th.
Yeah, and he's absolutely charged it through, capitalised on mistakes of other people. Has had an incident throughout, but other than that, it looks like he's been largely incident-free.
And we've got a battle brewing up here for 4th position in the LMP2 class, so this race is not over, people. Keep an eye on that. Björn Spindler against Tapo Savella for 4th position, charging through heavy amounts of traffic still. Remember, we've got a bit under 30 cars still running, so the traffic hasn't really decreased. And it's now Savella against Spindler for 4th position, and that's going to be a really interesting battle.
Massive deceleration there, just coming to that corner. Still to stay under the tailpipes of Bjorn, just try and sort of make sure he capitalises. That's a lovely soundtrack, isn't it? You are watching the battle for a fourth position late on in the race. And Marius, they do like to take a sweep on that, don't they? They really do cross the white line and just sort of try and sweep into through Le Mans onto the Ormond.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's a flowing turn, so you're able to protect your tires if you just take it smooth, and especially now in the late phase of the race, you probably can't afford an incident there. So Capo still charging down, but doesn't look like he can close in by much.
We saw a classic multi-class question there when Bjorn just comes up behind that yellow Ford GT on the back of Ormond Straight, and he just drifted offline, and then the Ford GT decided to come offline because he wanted to let past me. See, a lot of drama there.
Capo is way across the dirt there, and Marcel Dimas can't do anything there. He already went out of the way, but Capo Savella absolutely blazing through the grass and the dirt there.
Well, they did well to react, and they did well to hold it as well, because that could have ended up quite nasty. Must be this the Finnish rally driver blood, you know.
It could be, yeah, and it also could prepare him for a possible attack. It looks like Björn Spindel is definitely feeling the pressure from behind. Christian Koch is too far away in 6th position to play in that battle, but now Tapo Savella misses the brakes, and that is further off track for him. And well, there goes the good gap, and now he's back by about 1.5 seconds once again.
It's long, a bit of a slide as the understeer changes to oversteer.
And
get on the apex, give it beans.
If you've just tuned in, or for the viewers who haven't understood this issue so far, you see that our clock is mainly now finished and it's running up again, and that is another issue. Just add about 5 more minutes, as Norbert Sulzer is going to enter the 64th lap next time with about 4.5 minutes to go. And that makes it maybe 3, maybe 4 laps to go, but definitely 3, and it's still 9.9 seconds, so 3 more laps to go, and well, without a pit stop, Cameron June is definitely not able to catch him, but it's still the question mark if Sulzer needs to pit.
If he does, he's going to go very, very close to the wire. See some excellent onboard shots from Tapo Savella here. Wide into corner number 1 again, just touches the dirt, kicks the back end out. You can certainly use these curbs to rotate the car.
Well, you can use them to rotate the car, but Rob, you know, the curbs may not be your best friend, and we've seen especially issues with bumps, so not especially curbs even, but only bumps in the last turn, and hitting the wrong bump may be ending your race.
Yeah, especially when you go close to the apex and the sunset bend. It does get very bumpy around there. It really pushes you to the outside once you start to get the power down. And for this battle between Bjorn and Teppo, there's certainly not a lot of track. They haven't caught a large amount of traffic recently. Just the odd sort of Corvette or the odd Ford GT that hasn't really, apart from the yellow one that we saw in the Ormond Straight, really caused a lot of trouble between them.
They have, but to inform you about this now, Eduardo Prado is on the start-finish line now, so that means they've got 25 seconds in front of them of clear track, and that could be race deciding.
Looks like he's in the tow now. Looks like Teppo is in the tow. What's he going to do round the sunset bend? Is he going to try and take a different line, get swing back, goes inside? Oof, just has to lift off for those bumps. Just, whoa, slide. He's like the finished stick, isn't he?
You can see him understeering there. Good camera work, but it's not enough to get him, and Björn is making this very, very smart.
Perfect. Corner number 1 there. We've seen some excellent sort of variations of lines.
And they both have got nothing to lose. They both have got nothing to lose. 8 seconds behind, 9 seconds even now, Christian Koch. And, well, both of them can risk this really to the max. And so far it looks like Teppo is not not really settling on the position 5 there, so he's definitely looking for a pass.
Gap between the first two drivers currently 7.3 seconds. This battle we're watching now is a full 1 minute 24 behind the leader. Big off from Teppo. Get away from that wall. Just oh
my God! And that was. I wonder if he. It looks like no, he could avoid that wall completely. Oof. And that should be it for Björn Spindel and the 4th position.
Massive drama here at the end. Just he just got a little bit close. Missed the braking line. Just did incredibly well to keep off of those tyre balls.
And that's what I've just been saying. I mean, he was trying it, and he saw the chance, to just brake as late as he can, and it's just not been enough. And that should be a deep breath for Björn Spindel in 4th, and definitely thumbs up talking about the iRating of these guys. Björn Spindel, number 38. That is. That means that he's the second last person to even make it in the grid, and that is a 4th position for him, and that is a brilliant effort, honestly. And Teppo Sivella, number 30, also he isn't really one of the top iRating guys, and just shows that sorting these things by qualifying time is really the way to go.
I tell you what, I actually linked and missed that because I was watching the same things you guys watching, all on the roll bar, all in car, and I looked, and then all of a sudden there was grass. That's how quickly it can change around here.
All right, let's get this done. It looks like last lap for Norbert Sulzer, 1 hour 59 and 42, and that makes it last lap, and he's definitely on fuel saving. Chris Dameron Jr. is closing in by about a second per lap in average. Last lap hasn't been so good, but it's just not going to be enough. Sulzer can save as much fuel as he wants. It's not going to be enough, and he just needs to bring this car home this time, and Dameron Jr. is not able to get him. And I wonder what the problem is. I just have to talk about Roderick Croyne, and it might look like he's running into fuel problems. He just
I believe Kevin Veckermans might be as well.
I wonder what happened to Roderick. He just braked on the middle of the straight for no reason, and he probably took a look around and seen where his enemies are. But then he didn't pit, but that's going to be very interesting. Last time for Norbert Sulzer through the S's here. Late braking, turning in, or hitting the inside curb here. And will it be enough? We don't want Norbert Sulzer to run out early or run out close to the finish line. So hold your thumbs for Norbert here, and that will be an absolute amazing victory after the retirement of Frederick Follestad. And the time is of course up, so that makes it checkered flag this time by. No changes so far in the Corvettes, just to say, no changes so far in the Corvettes. Everything looks normal. And we see the two guys on the stream. The red car behind is Chris Dameron Jr. and it's not going to be enough. And it's going to be Norbert Sulzer for the victory of the 2012 iRacing 120 of Sebring. And that is a great victory. Smart driving, smart tactics. And Chris Dameron Jr. from 11th position on the grid makes it and takes 2nd position here.
See Teemu Voal just take the victory in the Corvette class.
That has been an amazing drive by Teemu, honestly, and especially against Kai. They've been side by side for a mere 50% of the race. And we're going to keep an eye now on Kimmo Suominen, who's yet to finish in front of Nick Verstegen and Eduardo Prado. And overall, this has been a truly amazing race.
Fantastic. We just see Kimmo driving. I believe he's just exited turn number 16, Le Mans, onto the Ormond Straight as well. And Nick for this stage has just entered the Ormond Straight as well. So there's going to be about 10 or so seconds difference between the guys as Kimmo exits the Sunset Bend on the start-finish straight and takes the victory in the 4 GTs.
And we can see that Joni Hagner and Yves Wangenechten is, well, Joni's just running out of fuel, and that's the problem. And that brings Yves into 3rd position of the Corvettes just before the finish.
What a great finish! Just running out of fuel on the start-finish straight. And we can just see the guys roll into a stop now. Timu obviously just finished. I think that's pretty much everyone has finished now.
And I've just spoken to Joni Hagner, and we're going to have him as an interview guest in just a tiny bit, and we have to ask what happened there, if something went wrong in the pit stop, but I'm pretty sure, Rob, that hasn't been planned.
No, but then he would have been seeing that on the countdown of the laps, and he would have been there going, go on, don't let me run out of fuel, because it's you run out of fuel in the last lap or in the last few minutes, it's terrible.
And just wow, what a race! And we're going to bring you the results, and yeah, we're going to start with the HPDs, of course, and we've seen an amazing race, especially in the HPDs, Rob.
Fantastic. I'll just run you through the results for HPDs. Norman Schulze won. Took first position. Chris Damron Jr., an excellent drive from Chris. Started from 11th position, got the second place. Roderick Crewman took third. Bjorn Spindle took fourth. Fifth position was Teppo Zavala, who we saw just have that last incident trying to pass Bjorn for fourth. He finished fifth. Christian Koch finished sixth. Seventh was Kevin Veckermans. Eighth position was Nuno Moriera. Ninth was Philip Vibert. 10th, and our first retiree in the HPDs, was Frederick Follestad, who had connection troubles. 11th was Paul Ilbrink, and 12th position was Anthony, who hit Paul running towards the last third of the race. 13th position was Tiago Afaro, 14th was Emil Spindle, 15th was Richie Stanaway, 16th position was Philip Geese, in 17th was Marius Thomas, 18th Arnaud Lacombe, 19th position was Timo Livinen, and rounding out the HPD's 20th position was PJ Sturgis.
And winning the Corvettes, Teemu Vuola, with amazing driving against Kai Kashuba in second position. So both of these guys and an absolutely amazing drive. Third position, just yeah, literally in the last turn, Yves van Genechten takes third in front of Joni Hagner in fourth, Marcel Wiemers fifth, and Brendan Davis in sixth, Guillermo Rato in seventh, Gasper Trestenjak in eighth, and Thibault Lacombe completing the field in ninth, with only Tim Claessens retiring. And that brings us to the Ford GTs. Kimmo Suomen with a dominating victory here. I don't want to say as expected, but definitely he's been the one contender to really win this. After Joni Backman crashed, Nick Verstegen went for a safe second position in front of Eduardo Prado in third, Alexandre Gravouille in fourth, João Pinho in fifth, in front of Victor Boubiac in sixth and Geert Berg in seventh. And we've got two retirees, Eric Veidorf just shortly before the race finish in the last turn, and Joni Backman. And Rob, we've got a guest in the booth.
And indeed we have two. We have Joni, who also we spoke to earlier, and we have another Joni, actually, Joni Hagner. Joni, you ran out of fuel. That's very, very unfortunate. Just losing that position on the last lap.
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
And sometimes. Talk us through your race.
Yeah, I got a good start and pushed quite good. And then I was a bit out of the pace, and Teemu and Kay ran it away. So I tried to stay ahead EF and be careful with the HPDs.
Absolutely, and it was a good finish from the Corvette drivers, because we only saw really one driver fall off. It's great to be on the same lap as Timu Vuola, and it was just a shame you didn't end up with a Glacier race in 1, 2, 3. But you had battles all the way throughout the race today. And tell us, what was it like having those HPDs shoot past you?
Yeah, today was a quite good day with the HPDs. Not too much situation with them, but Teemu Ivonen made a heart attack for me, because he spinned it in the last corner, and I just bit hit him, and well, no damage from that, but yeah.
Oh, excellent then, excellent. Okay. Well, I don't know if we're going to be joined by anyone else, are we, Marius?
It doesn't look like that. I think Teemu and Norbert are partying most likely. So we should close this talk and give you a little preview on the next thing which we'll be bringing you, and that is Wednesday night, the Skip Barber Premier Series, second round on Laguna Seca. And Rob, we've both been doing the first round, and that has been an absolute blast as well.
Yeah, it's certainly very, very different to what we have here on GlacierTV. We normally got the longer sort of endurance events, but the sprint race, the sprint race we had, because obviously it's a very mixed bag with regards to class levels racing and people racing. So for the sprint race, it was fantastic to watch. It was action everywhere, and some very ballsy overtaking in Line Rock last time.
So whatever we do, definitely tune in for that one, and that means Wednesday night is the next thing which we will bring you, Skip Barber Premier Series from Laguna Seca. And so far, that is Marius Golombeck and Rob Sutherland saying goodbye until Wednesday.
Goodbye.